Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're jumping into the story of Antigua and Barbuda. Now, you've probably seen the pictures, right? Gorgeous beaches, blue water, but trust me, there is so much more going on here. This is really a tale of two very different islands, tied together by a common story and a pretty uncertain future.
Okay, let's kick things off with this, because it just perfectly sums it all up. You really can't understand this country by looking at just one of its islands. They are completely intertwined, two halves of a whole, a nation that's literally defined by its duality.
So, let's get our bearings. We're in the Eastern Caribbean, right where the Atlantic Ocean bumps up against the Caribbean Sea. And while everyone knows the famous slogan, the land of 365 beaches, that's really just scratching the surface of what makes this place so unique.
Now, here's something that might surprise you. You're basically a stone's throw away from Europe. Seriously, look at this. Most of the closest neighbors are actually overseas parts of European countries. You can be in a French, British, or Dutch territory in like half an hour. Pretty wild, right?
And of course, we have to talk about the number that put this place on the map, 365. Because the coastline is so incredibly jagged and full of coves, Antigua makes the incredible claim that it has a different beach for every single day of the year. What a claim to fame!
All right, let's meet the first main character in our story, the island of Antigua. This is the bigger, busier, more mountainous of the two. It's the volcanic heart of the nation. And you can see its profile right here. Antigua is the larger island by a good bit, and it's where almost everyone lives. Its landscape was forged by volcanoes, which you can still see in its rugged hills. That highest point, Mount Obama, is actually the remnant of an ancient volcanic crater.
Being the main hub, this is where you'll find the capital city, St. John's. But it also has this incredible history. I mean, Nelson's Dockyard is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And get this, it's the only working Georgian-era dockyard left on the entire planet. It was a super important naval base for the British for a long time.
Okay, now let's take a quick 30-mile hop north to meet our second main character, Barbuda. And this is where that tale of two islands really becomes a story of complete and total contrast.
The difference is just, wow, it's night and day. While Antigua is all volcanic hills, Barbuda is incredibly flat. It's a coral and limestone island, and its highest point is only about 38 meters above sea level. It's about as flat as it gets.
Life here is a world away from the hustle of Antigua. Barbuda is famous for its unbelievable pink sand beaches, this huge lagoon that's a sanctuary for one of the world's biggest colonies of frigate birds, and a very unique culture where land has been owned communally for centuries. But that idyllic seclusion, that beautiful low-lying geography, it also left Barbuda dangerously exposed.
In September 2017, Hurricane Irma, a massive Category 5 storm, made a direct hit on the island. The devastation was almost total. 95% of the island's buildings were either damaged or just completely wiped out, forcing the entire population to be evacuated.
The aftermath was catastrophic. I mean, when the country's own Prime Minister Gaston Browne describes the island as barely habitable, you know it's bad. This wasn't just a storm. It was a defining moment, a massive turning point for the whole nation.
So this brings us to the big question, right? With two islands that are so different in almost every way, geography, lifestyle, even recent history, what is it that actually holds them together as one single country? Well, first and foremost, it's the people. The overwhelming majority of the population shares a common ancestry, tracing their roots back to the West Africans who were brought to the islands as enslaved labor for the sugar plantations during the colonial era.
And that shared history created a shared culture. So while English is the official language on paper, a leftover from British rule, the real language of the people, the one you'll hear on the street, is a local Creole. It's a cultural bedrock that connects both islands.
They're also bound together by a modern economy that depends massively on tourism. We're talking over 60% of their GDP. Visitors come for the unique charms of both islands. But keeping that industry and the population going creates shared challenges, like being totally reliant on technology for fresh water.
So let's look at how all of this, the shared history, the modern economy, the environmental risks, is shaping where this two-island nation goes from here. This timeline really tells the story. You see this long journey from being a British colony through the massive social change of emancipation to finally gaining full independence in 1981. And then, more recently, that climate disaster that completely changed the national conversation.
And one of those huge shared challenges is water. There are no permanent rivers on either island, so the entire country literally survives by using these massive, energy-guzzling plants to turn seawater into drinking water. It's a constant, daily reminder of just how fragile their existence is.
So, let's boil it all down. What you have here is a nation of incredible contrasts. You've got the volcanic hub versus the flat coral hideaway. But underneath it all, they're bonded by a deep history and a common culture. And now, they're facing a future where those bonds are being tested by shared threats that demand they act as one.
And that leaves us with this final thought. For a country built on such a dramatic split personality, what's going to be its greatest strength moving forward? Is it the unique contrast between its two islands, or is it the shared unity of its one people? That's a question they're trying to answer every single day.